You know, this transparency, acceptance, and growth thing it's really about how we've screwed up in our lives, but also how we've learned from our screw-ups. So before I start talking, let's just get the elephant out of the room. I'm going to start talking about my screw-ups. Get that out of the way, then we can get into some of the teaching of the leadership today. I came to America with $500 in a suitcase. Unlike a lot of other speakers that have graced us these last couple of days, and many others who've made $1 million and done some amazing things, I still have a suitcase in my room and $500 in my pocket. So either I did something right or I did something wrong. In 2009, I became an American citizen. That was one of the proudest moments in my life. Now, I'm a guy from Kenya, lives in Hawaii. Maybe one day I'll run for president, but please don't ask me for my birth certificate. I want us to stay friends here. And you know, when I became a citizen, the next day, I looked up and I was like, what is up with all the foreigners? How quickly we forget where we came from. You know, opportunity is never lost. You know, opportunity is just found by someone else. It's never lost. So when you hear about lost opportunities, it's just never lost. Someone else just found it. You know, when I was young, and we've had a lot about love today. You know, I was young and I kind of loved this girl, but I kind of liked her, but I was too afraid to come out and tell her. So what do? I found no, I didn't throw stones. I'm not that good. I found a friend. I bought some flowers and I gave the flowers to him. Told him, hey, go give this to this girl that I like, and hey, you know, flowers are for me. So what did this guy do? He went and took the flowers and he said the flowers are from him. So be careful who your messengers are. But as it turns out, 20 years later, I find out exactly what happened. And as life has it, life is a very interesting thing. I look at my life today and I look at my wife, my beautiful wife, and my beautiful son, and I look at this guy, and I look at his wife, I wouldn't touch her with a 20-foot pole. So life has a way of just correcting things and correcting ourselves. So I've written 2 books, but if there's one book that I would write that I don't need to do any research on, is all the dumb and stupid things that I have done in my life. But let's get into talking about leadership, because that's what I do. I speak about leadership. You know, one of the toughest people to lead is yourself. Because no matter what you say, no matter what you do, you can never run away from yourself. You can run away from others, you can hide from others, but you can never run away from yourself. When I graduated college and I got my first leadership position, I went out there thinking that because I'm a manager, I'm a leader. Little did I forget that that's not leadership. You know, my father once told me a story about the sheep. And there's this sheep that just graze, and you know, coming from Africa, we have a lot of wildlife, and I mean cattle and stuff. So the sheep are grazing, but there's always this sheep that's the big and the strongest sheep go ahead. And as they're grazing and they go ahead, they get to this point, and there's probably 200 or 300 or 400 of them, and they get to this point and there's a ditch, and the big sheep just sit there and they look. And the smaller ship come and they look, they jump over the ditch. And all of a sudden, all the other ships follow. You know why? Because this smaller ship were able to take the risk. They were able to assess it, calculate it, and take the risk. And leadership is about that. Leadership is not positional. It's not, hey, I'm a manager, so I'm a leader. No. Many people tell me they're leaders, but it's about who you can influence with your actions, with your stories, with your characters. Now, I also hear this word a lot, natural born leaders. Are you a born leader? Well, you know what? Are leaders born? Yes, they are. I've never met an unborn leader, and I particularly do not want to. So, it's in you. We're all born, and we're all born with the ability to lead others, the ability to influence. But it begins with leading your own life. You can't lead others if you're not leading yourself. You can't tell others. And remember, if people are following you because of a paycheck, if people are following you because of fear, that, my friends, is personal. It's not influential. I want to get to my second point. And that is communication. We've heard a lot about the perfect pitch. We've heard a lot about how to sell, how to get yourself out there, how to get your story out there. And let me tell you something, my friends. I have a story. The story is deep. Now, the most effective thing you can ever do as a person, as a leader, as an influencer, whatever it is that you do, is your ability to tell your story. However, you hear this a lot. I'm communicating. We hear the word communication is used a lot. I'm communicating, I'm getting my word out there. But I want to use an analogy, a basketball analogy. Now, I play basketball. I'm from Kenya. I run. Now, this whole running thing, if you want to know where it came from, I'm just going to, clue you in on this one thing. Africa is one of the few places in the world, maybe the only place in the world where something is always trying to eat you. So this running thing, I've got that hair behind my back, and that hair tells me, you know what? Run fast, ask questions later. So this running thing is not because we're great runners, it's because most of the time we're running for our survival. You're running from something, When I was born, there was an elephant who trampled the mud hut in which I was born in, so my mother was running away with me. So you can imagine I'm a runner. So when I hear there's danger somewhere, what do? I run the opposite direction. What do my white friends do? They run towards the danger. I want to live a long life, my friends. So you can come to always run and ask questions later, because tomorrow I still want to be able to be a communicator. I'm not a speaker. I'm a communicator. Because many people communicate, but when you send out an email and you send out tweets and all that stuff, many people say, I communicated. Yes, you communicated, but has your message been received? You can communicate all day long. Everybody communicates, but how many people connect? How many messages actually land? Let's get back to this basketball. I got my basketball. I'm shooting the hoops. Shooting is communicating. But until the ball goes through that hoop, that's when it connects. So you got to ask yourself, how many hoops are you shooting every day? But how many of them are connecting? So that's what communication is all about. Be able to get your message out there. We all have an amazing story. But is it being heard? I want to take you back to the jungle a little bit. And how many of you have ever seen a lion? Okay. How many of you have ever had a lion roar? All right. It is loud, it is deafening, it is also one of the most beautiful things that really would humble you. For me, the first time I had the lion roar, I just shit my pants and peed my pants both at the same time. It was the most beautiful thing. We heard about being raw, and this is as raw as it gets because you don't know whether you're shitting or you're pissing at the same time. Meanwhile, while running away, don't forget that. So, the greatest thing about this point that I'm getting to is that as long as lions do not learn how to write, the stories will always glorify the hunters. I'm going to repeat that again. As long as the lions do not learn how to write, the stories will glorify the hunters. So you got to ask yourself, if my story is not being written, if my story is not being told, it's glorifying someone else. And it does not have to be complicated, my friends. It has to be simple. Now, English is not my first language. So I have learned the art of simplicity. I remember being at a panel once and somebody asked me, well, this stuff you talk about is so simple. And to me, as a communicator, I take complex things and simplify them. And you know why? It's because life is already complicated as it is. So if I want you to take away something from this, I want you to take away something that you're going to be able to apply, I have to give it to you in a simple manner. Because we all can digest things when they're simple. So always remember, it doesn't have to be complex. There is power in simplicity. One of my really good friends is the godfather of American cookies. His name is Amos, also known as Famous Amos. Now, if I give you a big block of cookies, one big block of a cookie, you're gonna eat it, but you're gonna be like, I'm not gonna finish the whole thing. But if I give you the small bites, you're gonna eat 10, 20 packets because all you're doing is just taking them in bits and pieces. Everything needs to be bite-sized because we can all be able to digest it when it's in bits and pieces. The third point, and before I get to the third point, I want to talk about, when we talk about leadership, it is the most, there's thousands and thousands of definitions on a dictionary. However, it doesn't have to be complex. I have simplified leadership by creating these 4 pillars. First one I talked about was leadership and influence. The second one I talked about was communication. The third one I'm going to talk about is personal growth. And the last one is intentionality and strength and purpose. So you've got to have pillars that you anchor yourself in no matter what. And you bring me any question or anything related to leadership, related to life, related to personal growth, I can put it in one of those pillars. So let's go into personal growth. I love bananas. So there's a big difference between a green banana and a yellow banana. Yes. And the difference here is one is green, one is ripe. And the one that is ripe is getting ready to rot. Okay. So personal growth is what are you doing every day to grow? When I first came to America, I had to learn how to speak in an American accent because most people could not understand me. I had to go to school, I had to educate myself. And a lot of times I always thought that, hey, things will get better if I just hang out through osmosis or whatever it is. I'm going to get better. And that is not true. There's a lot of misconceptions out there. You have to learn, you have to grow. Paul Simon wrote a song called Diamonds on the Soles of Our Shoes. Does anybody know that song? All right. Now, that song is a complete misconception because when I go places, I have people asking me, hey, is it true that if you walk around in Africa, you just pick up diamonds all over the place? And I'm like, why do you think I'm here? I wouldn't be here if I just walk around the beach and pick up diamonds and stuff. Diamonds on the soles of our shoes, remember that. I came to America, I thought money just grows on trees. I thought the American dream is you get to America and hey, you're going to be rich, you're going to be famous, you're going to have all this money. But that dream is about perseverance, hard work, and an opportunity to become great. That's what the American dream is all about. And sometimes we get lost in these misconceptions of thinking that, hey, you know what? As long as I just show up there, it's going to happen. It will not happen unless you make it happen. So you've got to be asking yourself, what am I doing to grow today? If you're not growing, you're dying. And every day you have to grow, 24 hours a day. So if you're green, you grow. If you're ripe, you rot. So you got to ask yourself, am I growing? Am I rotting? Am I green? Am I ripe? Very, very, very important. And personal growth does not have to be something monumental that you do every day. It's the small, bite-sized things that we do every day that make a big difference. In fact, I always say, do not try and tackle the whole elephant by yourself. Eat it in bits and pieces and bits and pieces, eventually eat the whole thing. Remember, the cookies I talked about, bits and pieces and bits and pieces. So ask yourself, how am I growing? How am I getting better today? Because the only promise that tomorrow will be better than today is if we are growing today. Now, before I get to my fourth point, we hear a lot about this is what I've done. I have been able to achieve all this greatness. I've done all these amazing things in life. But let's talk about giving back. Giving back is very, very important because when you grow and when you're blessed, it's important to give back. What I have done in my life, talk about because I don't want to give examples of things that I have not done. When I came to America and I started speaking after leaving my corporate career, I started a foundation that's based on helping kids back home in Kenya to thrive. Over the last 13 years, we've done some amazing things with these kids. And this is a way of me giving back and a way of me saying, you know what, I have been blessed. I have come to America. I'm going to pause. I've been blessed. I've come to America and I want to reach out and bless others. It doesn't have to be big. You don't have to wait to be great, to be big, to bless others, to give back. It's what you do to help your neighbor, your friend, your brother, your sister. That's what giving back is all about. Now, I'm going somewhere with this. This is Black History Month. So how many of you want to go to heaven? Okay. And for those of you that don't believe, that's okay. Okay. Now I'm going to give you another application to kind of bring in the whole Black History Month thing. Now, I can make fun of white people because we're minorities, and that's okay. There's coming a time when I'll not be able to do that. If you want to go to heaven, my friends, you got to help a black person. Because God is going to be asking you, did you help your brother and your sister? So my friends, I'm black. I need help. So don't forget that. You want to go to heaven, I've given you a tip. And if I'm wrong, I will ask for forgiveness tomorrow. Personal growth. Now, we also hear sometimes that this person has experience. This person is experienced. They've spent 27 years doing something. But let me tell you something, my friends. Experience is only valuable if you reflect on it. Because if you don't reflect on your experiences, it was just an experience. And sometimes age comes alone. You can be 50 years old with all these experiences that you haven't reflected on. My fourth point and my last point, intentionality, strength, purpose. How many of you are always getting ready to get ready, but you never get ready and you never get out? We're always getting ready to get ready. You know, leaders have a bias towards action. And it's through taking action that things happen. So if you have to ask yourself, am I living with all these good intentions? I hear a lot about the bucket list, the to-do list. Oh, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to go to this country. I want to go swim with sharks. I want to visit Africa. I want to do all these things. I want to go to Cambodia and kiss babies. Well, you need to do it, because if you don't do it, it just becomes a bucket list. Before you know it, you become the bucket. So my friends, if you have a bucket list, you have a to-do list, get in there and get it done. Because without action, nothing happens. The world view and those people who are successful took action, did something with their lives. And finally, my friends, on the point of action, I'm going to leave you with two things. We hear a lot about the footprints in the sands of time. And every day we're living some kind of prints. Now, I've got to ask you something. When you look back at your life, if you sat on your butt and did nothing, you're still living prints, but you're living butt prints. Okay? That's if you didn't take any action. I just said prints. Now, if you took action, you walked with others, you are intentional, you're leaving footprints. So, my friends, I want you to ask yourself, are you living footprints or are you living butt prints? Thank you very much, my friends.